Hello everyone, it's Richard Lewis here again with another video. Today I'm going to be talking about PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds and a situation that has come up in regards to the sale of the game in China. There's been a lot of lurid headlines that the game might get banned in China. The story doesn't seem to have snowballed quite yet, but I'm sure it will. And I'm going to basically give you the information you need to know about probably why this isn't going to happen, but just kind of the situation. Because obviously we all know game sales in China, it's a big deal. It's a huge market. Publishers certainly want to make profit from that region. And with the sheer volume of people that you can draw from, it's obviously a market people need to sort of play nice within, and you have to kind of work. It's a lot of work. The Chinese marketplace for games has a lot of rules. You know, for example, if you're a business from outside of China, you have to partner up with a Chinese business to even sell your product there. So this is why you see like companies like Valve, for example, partnering up with Perfect World, even though sometimes Perfect World are far from perfect, if you know what I mean. So anyway, this is the report. Now, obviously, had a couple of people look at this before I recorded this video. It's in Chinese, so I do apologize if I get any of the minutiae wrong. But basically what you can draw from it is this, that this is the this is kind of the branch of the government that deals with all audio and visual publishing in China. It's called the China Audio, Video and Numeral Publishing Association. And they put this statement out saying they have concerns about battle royale games, in particular PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. They say they have what they refer to here as market concerns, and the reason for these concerns seem to be moral. You know, it's the same old sermonizing that it's kind of corrupting the youth. They say here it's bloody, violent content and how it's presented, as well as the values within the game are tied to are tied to society in a way that isn't good. So they believe that it can have a detrimental effect on society if you play these games. And the China Audio and Video Publishing Association are very concerned by the runaway success of these games and what it might mean to society at large. Now, it's not just Battle Royale, PlayerUnknown. Any Battle Royale game will be affected by this, but they talk a lot about PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. Bizarrely, they compare it to Roman gladiators. They say because the game is bloody, violent, and similar to a gladiator arena, and the concept of survival at all costs is a deviation from our core values and traditional Chinese culture and ethical norms, where they talk a lot about the kind of socialist ideal about putting the collective first over the needs of the individual. You must serve the greater good. They also say that Battle Royale games encourage killing, and as a result of this, they don't want these games to obtain publishing licenses in China, and the board has recommended that they investigate this and quite possibly decide to pull publishing for these games types in the country. Now, this is obviously, on the surface, something to be worried about. What I will tell you is there's more to this than meets the eye. PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds has been a runaway success. It's already big in several markets that have taken other games a while to crack, most notably South Korea, where it is the second highest played game in PC bangs currently, which is a very good barometer for a game's success. It recently overtook Overwatch as a game that people are playing in the PC bangs in Korea, and it's having a decent time out there with none of these issues. Now, some of you will recall, in fact, let me just see if I can find this for you. There was rumors circulating just a few months ago about Tencent trying to acquire a sizable stake in PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. Now, this would be perfectly normal for Tencent, this huge Chinese company, They're the people behind League of Legends. I mean, they're funding a League of Legends theme park in China. They got more money than God. They're like the Alphabet Incorporated of China. And they do invest in any game that's popular, successful, any tech that's popular and successful. And Playerunknowns had to come out and basically say, yo, they haven't acquired a stake. We haven't sold any equity to Tencent. And you can see here, just get rid of that ad. You can see here that this was rebuffed back in September of this year. They said, no, we haven't. But I can tell you, Tencent are definitely keen on it. And when you take into context Tencent's relationship to the Chinese government and the fact that they're a huge business in the Chinese space, and indeed, they have ties to the Chinese government. So, for example, on this board, which has made this recommendation on their website and said these very strange things, they have a vice president of Tencent on that board because Tencent are one of the biggest tech publishers in the region. And Perfect World are on there. Changyu are on there. And so this committee of about, however many people it is, has ties directly to Tencent. And I think if you look at this in this broader context, this is a strong arm technique. What they're saying is, we have the power to completely keep you out of this region, this huge market for your game, something that's going to propel these numbers into the stratosphere. But you're going to have to play nice. You're going to have to play with Tencent. And obviously Playerunknown's Battlegrounds have been resistant for whatever reason, we don't know why, to sell this percentage of the company, perhaps because they're worried that it could lead to them being taken over or a loss of control in how they do things. Maybe they want to remain autonomous. I don't know. But here's the interesting thing. Over in Korea, the Korean government, which, by the way, are prudish in different ways, they said this was a 15-plus game. Anybody above 15 can play this game. It's not that gory. It's not that violent. The Chinese Publishing Association kind of taking a very different view. Now, to put a bit more context into this as well, there was a story in Bloomberg recently where it was talking about how the Chinese government were kind of trying to negotiate between an online regulatory body and companies like Tencent because some of their news sites had been embroiled in unethical practices, shall we say. And the government were kind of acting as a mediator because this arbitrary body, this independent body, they say the government doesn't have direct influence over it, but it does. So Tencent and the government do have ties when it comes to things like this. I mean, it goes without saying. This is the headline here. You can see Chinese regulator launches probe into Tencent, Weibo, and Baidu. And you can see as well, we'll just pause that. Winnie the Pooh got blocked as well in China. I mean, it's a strange country when it comes to these kind of things. But this story from just this month is way more interesting within the context of what is going on with this regulatory, this publishing board and Playerunknown's Battlegrounds right now. So if you go over here and you have a look, China government pushes for stake in local tech giants, Tencent, Alibaba, and others. And what this says here is the Chinese government wants a direct stake, a direct role in the decisions to stop these private technology firms having more power and influence within the government. Now, if you wanted a 1% stake in Tencent, that would cost you $4 billion. That's how big this company is. This is how profitable this company is. And the government don't like it, and they want a share so they can influence the direction in which Tencent go in. Now, again, this is speculatory on my behalf, but I know enough about how Chinese businesses operate and how you're kind of beholden to the government in that region. I think that, what do Tencent want? Tencent want to be able to acquire things that they view as profitable. And if you think that a computer game is kind of beneath them and beneath the government, beneath the government's attention, you don't know much about China. Anything that's business, anything that makes money is very much on the radar of the Chinese government and boards and entities like the one that's made this ludicrous declaration about the nature of the game. Now, quite clearly, what is suggested here to me, after that independent body started their investigation, the one that was cited in Bloomberg, Tencent shares took a big dip. They went down by 5%. So that's good. That's good if you wanted to get in. And equally as well, what better incentive to let the government into your private business than if the government could leverage and apply pressure to a product you wanted to buy within that region. So this is part of a much larger puzzle. I think that what we've got here is the Chinese government are kind of applying a little bit of pressure to Tencent through the means that they can. To Playerunknown's Battlegrounds, so Tencent can come in, and basically it now becomes, you've got a choice. You either do business with Tencent, you let Tencent acquire some of your equity, or you just don't sell in China. Those are your two options. Now, it would take a very strong and principled publisher to say no to the Chinese market and all of the millions that would generate for you just to retain complete control over your product. I've yet to meet such a games developer. I've yet to meet such a person. You know, people compromise values all the time when vast sums of money are involved. And I think what the compromise will be, I'm sure, again, you're going to read lots of reports when this gets picked up by the mainstream gaming press, you know, like, you know, the websites. I don't want to say them because fuck the mainstream gaming press. But when the story gets picked up, you'll see a lot of lurid headlines, you know, again, just saying, oh, Playerunknown's to be banned in China. What does it mean? Here's what it means. Playerunknown will have to play nice with Tencent, and they'll probably, to appease the original kind of faux outrage, they'll probably have to make a reduced gore version, reduced violence version. You know, you see this quite regularly with Chinese games. You know, for example, Warcraft, any sort of mention of raising the dead or portrayals of dead bodies is kind of taboo. They very often take skulls out of things. The Lich King, you know, for example, portrayed very differently in China. You know, this is well documented fact. So games kind of change all of the time. In fact, some of the skins in CSGO, for example, because they have depictions of skulls or whatever, they either don't sell in China or they made a different version so people could still sell in China now that CSGO's taken off there. So I think that's what the compromise will be. I don't think Playerunknown's going to say no to the Chinese market. But equally as well, I think Tencent are going to get what they want because they're Tencent. They always get what they want. And that's going to be it. And that's how we're all going to move forward. So I don't think the game's going to get banned, but I think you'll probably be playing, if you're Chinese, you'll be playing a no blood version, or, you know, something with the bodies don't ragdoll. You know, it might be the German thing. You know, they put their hands on their heads and sink to their knees or whatever. Who knows? But they'll have to make some changes. And they'll probably have to do business with Tencent, but I don't think the game's going to get banned. It's a runaway success. The choice would have to be on Playerunknown's Battlegrounds to not sell in the region. So, yeah, I don't want to waffle on too much about it. This is like a breaking story. This just happened in like the last 12 hours or whatever of recording this video. So I'm going to monitor it and let you know what's going on. As always, thanks for watching this video. Be sure to support the YouTube channel, and I will see you next time.